There's a quote by David Arthur Wilkins in his book Linguistics in Language Teaching. This is what he says: "Without grammar, little can be conveyed. Without vocabulary, nothing can be conveyed." Vocabulary is important and we need to teach it well. And in this video, I'm sharing with you 3 techniques that you can use to teach vocabulary to your students online. I'm not going to be very theoretical in this video, but we do need some grounds to stand on with our teaching technique. So I'm going to blend pedagogy and practice together. Alright, let's start with language skills and language components. We know we have speaking, writing, reading, and listening for language skills. And for language components, we have grammar, pronunciation, and vocabulary. We consider language components as enablers, because that's what they do. They enable learners to master the language skills. And vocabulary? Vocabulary usually comes first. If you browse around ELT books, you will find that vocabulary usually comes first. I wish I could show you some pages of the book in this video, but I'm not sure about the copyright thingy. So, you know what? I'm just going to use some common vocabulary and common topics as our examples. Alright? Alright, so we're in my PowerPoint now, and this is our first activity. It's a very simple activity. It's just a simple guessing game. You've probably done this before. You know what? I'm sure that you've done this before, but now you just have to do it online. Cool. So, the objective of this activity is for students to mention the names of family relationships. That's, basically we want to check how much learners know about vocabulary in family. That includes the meaning as well as the pronunciation, and they will do it by guessing names of my family members and the relationship. Okay, so before the session, this is what I did. I typed the names of my family. Well, they're not really my family, but if you want to go real, you can use your own family. So I typed names of people that are my family, and then I animated, okay, so that they can appear one by one on my click. Okay, so after that, I also type the sample questions that students can ask during the activity. It's always a good idea to come up with sample activities or sample questions that students need to do or say in the activity, because that will give them, a clear sense of what to do during the activity. So the question is very simple here. Is blah 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 your blah blah blah? So my expectation is that students will say, is Samara your mother, for example? How cool is that to have a mother named Samara? Or how scary. So that's our first activity. That was before the session. Now let's go into the session. So now into the session, you can say this instruction in your own, of course, and you can also modify it. Okay, today, students, we will talk about family. Let's talk about my family first, okay? So, I'm showing you names of people in my family. Can you read them with me? Okay, Phil, yes. Okay, Hairul, yes. Yeah, good, yes. Okay, until the last name. Yes, good. Okay, now, I want you to guess who they are to me. This is how you do it. Choose one name. Okay, and then ask this question: is blah 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 your blah blah blah? Again, choose one name, maybe Samara, and then ask this question to me: is Samara your, maybe you think that Samara is my mother, so you ask, is Samara your mother? Then I will say, yes, she is, or no, she isn't. Simple. Okay, that's it. So, and then you can actually show the answer to the questions by showing the next slide, which you could have prepared earlier by putting those names into a family tree. And you can have your own activity on this one. Okay, that's it. That's the first technique. Second technique, let's call it know it, show it. Okay, so knowing a vocabulary means a lot of things. Okay, it can mean that we know the spelling, or maybe we know the pronunciation, or maybe even the meaning, or knowing a word can also mean that you know its variation in part of speech, and so many others. The point is that there are ways to prove that we know a word. So before the lesson, prepare a table like what you see on my screen on your Google Docs, okay? So 6 columns, okay? The first column contains the words or phrases, and then put all of the targeted words there. Say for example, today's topic is about entertainment. So, and these are the words that students need to learn, okay? Band, theater, opera, art gallery, documentary, as well as stage. And now, on the other columns are ways for students to prove to us that they know the words. So they can define it, they can describe it, they can give it an example, they can write a synonym, or they can also write words related to it. Okay, so for example, this is the word band, so maybe they can choose to define it, so they can write a band is a group of people playing music and yada yada yada. Okay, so don't forget to share the link, to copy the link and paste the link into the chat box or into your students' WhatsApp group earlier before the lesson, before you start doing this activity, okay? Okay, now so let's go to the real session. Okay, student, I want everyone to go to the link I gave earlier. Okay, now you see a table with 6 columns. The first column has words or phrases that we will discuss today. And I want you to fill out at least 3 columns on each word or phrase. Write your name before you answer so that I know exactly who is answering what. Okay, for example, if your name is J, okay, so you can write J, there you go. A band is a group of people playing music. There you go. So I know that J answered that. So it's an easy one, very simple one, and because it's in Google Doc, you know, students can actually learn from each other. Look at the columns. There are variations of knowing a word, and if they are able to describe it, then usually they're able to define it, and also vice versa. And look at the last column, write words related to it. That's an extra. Nice, right? You know what? One of the most important things in teaching vocabulary is context. You know, we need to put the vocabulary in context because students learn better and faster that way. Okay, so the first 2 activities, the vocabularies are put in context, and most of the time the lessons are put in context. Okay, and also goes to the next technique that we're going to talk about. Okay, the third technique is called Q&A. Why is it called Q&A? Because that's what it's all about. Okay, so one simple way to provide a context is actually put the words or the vocabulary in sentences or in questions. That way they will be put in context, okay? Let's take a look at our example. Say we choose the topic disaster. I don't know why I chose that topic. So this is what we have to do before the session, okay? So put the targeted words in questions, okay? Say, here's an example of my targeted word. Diseases, infected, volcano erupted, so I put them in blue, highlighted blue. Drown, flood, earthquakes, destroy, and also famine. Okay, now that's what you have to do. Just put them in sentences and try to make it like from the easiest one to the most difficult one. Like for example, because we're in Corona time, so disease is something that students might be familiar with. Infected it's similar to the word infeksi in Bahasa, right? But famine might be challenging. And now look at the instruction. The instruction is very simple. Ask questions with all words that you understand. Okay, so you ask the students only to ask these questions when they know every meaning of every word there. Okay, so this is the preparation, and this is how it goes in the real classroom. All right, students, we're going to talk about disasters right now. I have some questions that I'm going to show on my slide. What you need to do is read the questions, and if you understand all the words or phrases in that question, ask that question to your friend. That's all that you have to do. Just ask. You don't need to know the exact answers. And if you ask your friend doesn't need to know the exact answers either. All you have to do is just ask the question. Okay? Again, ask questions with all words that you understand. For example, number 1, what diseases infected a lot of people in 1920s? Stephen, do you understand all the words in that sentence? Yes. In that question? Yes. Okay, good. So ask your friend. Then Stephen will ask the friend. So Robert, what diseases infected a lot of people in 1920s? Then Robert might be confused in answering the question. Robert can just say, I don't know. Show the questions one by one until all of the questions are done. Alright, that's it, we're done. Those are 3 techniques in teaching vocabulary that you can work with your students online. Remember to always adopt and of course adapt. You need that. Good luck.